Ted, why are you sleeping out here? Late at night after finishing my work. As I passed by my sister's house and I was shocked to see my nephew sleeping in the doghouse with their pet. Huh? Aunt Mary, what are you doing here? I gently woke up my groggy nephew and asked him what is going on, and I couldn't believe what he told me. Apparently, his mom, my sister and his stepdad left him behind at home to go on a trip with our mom. To make matters worse, his stepdad put him in the doghouse to save on electricity. The family dog looked worn out but was huddled close to Ted, protecting him while staring at me. My heart broke seeing them like that, and I couldn't help but hug them both tightly. Thanks for telling me. I had no idea. I began thinking of how to get back at my irresponsible sister and her husband. My name is Mary. I graduated college and now in my second year of my current job. Work is busy but fulfilling and I'm enjoying life well enough. Though I'm independent and free now, as a child, I was always trying to read the mood of those around me. I believe this is because my parents always favored and spoiled my older sister, Susan, while being strict with me. Susan is 2 years older than me, a charming face and skilled at getting what she wants. But behind that smile she showed to our parents and others, she looks down and makes fun of me. She would say nasty things when adults weren't looking and even steal my things. She did whatever she pleases, but the adults never notice her true nature and dotes on her, thinking she is just cute and cheerful. My parents were no exception, always prioritizing her over me. Susan got all new clothes while mine were always her hand-me-downs. When I score 100% on a test, they don't care, but if Susan gets even 70%, they praised her endlessly. If I helped with the dishes, they wouldn't even say thanks, but if Susan just brought her plate to the sink, they'd thank her like she saved someone's life. Both our parents doted on her, always putting her first, while she looked down on me with a smug expression. The only person who was kind to me in my less-than-ideal family is my aunt. She lives just about 15 minutes away from our house, and I often visited when I was younger. She always tells me I'm a smart and kind child, and treated me with great affection. I love how she listens to me and speaks to me at eye level, so I frequently stay at her house. However, my parents didn't seem to like that. Are you going to your aunt's again? She's busy, you know. Stay home and stop bothering her. My mom would scold me with a look that showed just how much she disliked my aunt. But my aunt had already told me, "You're never a bother, come whenever you like," so I ignored my mom and kept visiting. Whether it was my attitude or the fact that my aunt and I were smarter in many ways, my parents and Susan always badmouthed us. Can you believe it, Auntie is still single in her 40s? I mean, I have 3 boyfriends. I guess stuck-up intellectuals just aren't attractive to men, poor thing. As a child, those cruel words from my sister hurt, but my aunt's indifference to them taught me to let it go. Eventually, when I got a job, I moved out. My aunt helped me with everything, from choosing a place to moving in, as I was new to all of it. She even helped with the moving expenses. I really can't thank her enough. Thanks to her, I'm now living independently as a responsible adult, away from my parents' home. While I started a stable life as a working adult, my sister continued her reckless lifestyle. With her good looks, she's always been popular with men and has had a very free-spirited love life. Maybe it was the result of the lifestyle she got growing up, but a few years ago, she ended up getting pregnant but has no idea who the father is. I really thought she might choose not to have the baby since she has no idea who the father is, but surprisingly, she did. However, Susan seems to have given birth without any preparation for being a mom. She didn't attend any prenatal classes or try to be a parent properly, often leaving her son, Ted, with me whenever she decides to go out. All right, take care of Ted for me. I'm off. Wait, Susan. If you're going out, take Ted with you. Hey, are you even listening? Ugh. Seriously. I was living on my own, so my mom has no way of helping with Ted, but my sister dumping her 6-month-old son on me, a college student, left me speechless. Our dad passed away from illness a few years back, but I couldn't understand why our mom didn't help taking care of her own grandchild. As time passed and Ted grew older, maybe needing less care, Susan started dropping him off less often. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that she's not parenting properly, so I often visited their home to check on Ted. Every time I visit, Susan looks annoyed, but since I kept Ted busy, she grudgingly let me in. Ted always looks happy to see me when I visit, and he usually cries when it's time for me to leave. Seeing my nephew like that, along with my sister's behavior, made it really hard for me to move far from home, even after being independent. My sister seems to just do the bare minimum as a parent. Then, she started dropping Ted off frequently again. The reason? Susan has a new boyfriend. I can't have a proper date with Ted around. So, I'm counting on you to take care of him. I was furious with her for treating Ted like he is in her way. Get a grip. He's your kid. Why not bring Ted and spend time with your boyfriend together? But no matter what I say, she never listens, and she would practically force Ted on me before going out. After about a year of this, my sister and her boyfriend decided to get married. During a get-together dinner before getting married, my mom, my sister, my nephew, and her boyfriend gathered at my parents' house. But honestly, my first impression of him was awful. He looks careless and lacking in common sense, and sure enough, he tried to hit on me when my mom and sister stepped out. You know, Mary, you're really pretty. And you work at that big company, right? That's so cool. Hey, how about we grab some lunch sometime? Just the two of us. I mean, this guy is something else. Inviting your fiancé's sister out alone? What is wrong with him? Before I could even respond, my sister and mom returned, ending the conversation, but my distrust of him had already started. But after he left, my mom couldn't stop praising him. He's such a great guy. Tall, handsome, and just perfect for Susan. As my mom gushed with excitement and my sister beamed with pride, I gave them a warning. I'm sorry, Susan, but I don't trust him. He might seem nice on the outside, but I think you should reconsider. I couldn't exactly tell them he hit on me while they were gone, so that was the best I could do. Maybe that's why, or maybe they never intended to listen to me, but my sister eventually married him anyway. After that, they would often drop Ted off at my place. We're going on a trip, so take care of him for us, okay? Again, Susan. Why don't you take Ted with you for once? But they ignored me as usual and just left. Their selfish behavior is unbelievable, but seeing Ted looking up at me with worry calms me down. I couldn't let my innocent nephew feel this way. I wasn't doing this for my sister and her husband, I was doing it for Ted. With that in mind, I put aside my frustrations with my selfish sister and indifferent mom, and I focused on giving Ted all the love and time I could give him. But one day, something happened. That day, as usual, my sister and her husband suddenly showed up, ready to dump Ted on me and head off on a trip. But at that moment, I was about to leave for work during a busy season, having to work on a Sunday. Sorry, but I have to go to work now, so I can't take care of him today. Upon hearing that, my sister and her husband got angry at me. What? Who do you think you are, Mary? You can just skip work. It's Sunday, so you should have the day off. Or are you lying just because you don't want to take care of him? You're so selfish. My God, these people and their hypocrisy, I snapped and shouted at them. Enough. I really do have to go to work today. Just this once, take Ted with you on your trip. You're his parents, aren't you? Shocked by my rare outburst, my sister and her husband backed off and left. But would those two really take Ted with them just because I told them to? I had a bad feeling about it. Even with these thoughts, I ran off to work, as I was about to be late. Later that night, after finally finishing work, I was walking through the quiet neighborhood going back home. Did my sister and her husband really take Ted with them as they should have? Could they have left him home alone? Worried, I decided to pass by their house to check before heading home. When I arrived, the house was dark and eerily quiet. They must have taken Ted with them, I thought, feeling relieved. But just to be sure, I decided to check around the house before heading home. As I reached the backyard, I almost screamed in shock and quickly covered my mouth. Ted. Ted, what are you doing out here? To my shock, my nephew was lying in the doghouse with their dog, Spot. I rushed over and checked him. He rubbed his eyes as he woke up. My nephew is sleeping beside the dog in the doghouse. Huh? Aunt Mary, what are you doing here? I brushed his hair and patted his back as he wakes up. He looks confused on why I woke him up. After a few minutes, I asked him why is he sleeping in the doghouse, and his explanation broke me. Apparently, after I left for work, my sister and her husband left him alone at home to go on a trip with our mom, Ted's grandma. Not only that, his stepdad made him sleep in the doghouse instead of inside the house. We don't want to waste electricity, so sleep with the dog until we get back. And don't try anything funny. His stepdad glared at him and then left with my sister and our mom. Spot, the dog lying next to my nephew, was originally his stepdad's. He brought the dog when he married my sister and moved in, but stopped taking care of it, leaving all the responsibility to Ted. Since my young nephew could only do so much, the dog wasn't in great shape. The dog looked worn out, but it stayed close to my nephew, almost as if protecting him, while staring at me. My heart broke seeing them like that, and I couldn't help but hug them both tightly. Thank you for telling me. It must have been tough. How about you come to my place tonight? We can sleep together. Ted nodded happily, and with the dog still by his side, I took them both back to my place. After I made sure my nephew and the dog were asleep, I stepped out of the room and called my sister, her husband, and my mom. I wanted to confront them about leaving Ted behind and to let them know that he and the dog were with me. But no matter how many times I called, none of them picked up. With no other choice, I gave up on calling and sent a brief message saying, Ted is with me. The next morning, I took him to the police station. There, I reported to the police that my sister and her husband frequently abandon Ted when they go out. The police immediately called my sister and her husband for questioning, and they answered, saying they would return home right away. Feeling conflicted, I thought they didn't answer my calls, but they answered the police. And waited for them to come back. A few hours later, my sister, her husband, and my mom arrived at the police station, having returned from their trip. We apologized for causing any trouble. We had planned to take him on the trip with us, but just before leaving, he threw a fit and refused to go. Our son is very attached to our dog and often wants to be near it. He probably snuck out of the house and crawled into the doghouse. It's so embarrassing. Their blatant lies made me want to puke. But it seemed the police believed my smooth-talking brother-in-law. Since there are no signs of physical abuse on my nephew, the police didn't consider it child neglect, and my sister and her husband got off with just a warning. As soon as we were out of the police station, my sister, her husband, and my mom dropped their humble act and turned red with anger. How dare you embarrass us like that? You ruined our fun trip. You're really useless. If you couldn't take Ted, you should have just left it alone. Or better yet, say you can take him from the start. I really couldn't take him because I worked until late. Do you even realize what you did? Leaving a young child to sleep in a doghouse, are you on drugs or something? But they ignored my protests, bombarding me with insults instead. My sister and her husband were the ones in the wrong for abandoning Ted, but they acted like I was the one being unreasonable. It made me feel dizzy. To top it off, my brother-in-law made an unbelievably audacious suggestion. God, you're so annoying. If you want to take care of something so bad, why don't you just take the dog? He laughed, saying the dog was a hassle, and getting rid of the doghouse would make the yard bigger, and my sister and mom nodded in agreement. Seeing them like that, I couldn't help but get angry, realizing Ted would never be happy living with them. I'll take care of Ted, not just the dog. My request was entirely reasonable, but my sister refused. No, you can't. He's still useful to me. I couldn't understand what she meant. What kind of mother uses her own child? What exactly is she using him for? As I stood there, angry and confused, they handed me the dog and, without a care, grabbed Ted's hand and tried to leave. "Come on, we're going home." "No. I don't want to go. I want to stay at Aunt Mary's house. I want to stay with Aunt Mary." "Shut up. Your home is over here. Now hurry up and move it." My sister and her husband forcefully dragged my screaming, resisting nephew away. I felt helpless looking at what they are doing to my nephew. I couldn't just stand by and do nothing while Ted cried out for help like that. I made up my mind and called someone. "Hello?
Yeah.
I have something I need to talk to you about." A few days later. It was my day off, and as I was relaxing at home, the video doorbell suddenly rang loudly. I checked the monitor, wondering what was going on, and saw my sister, her husband, my nephew, and my mom. I opened the front door, puzzled about what they could want, and they immediately started yelling with very aggressive behavior. "Hey, what did you do?" Ted, terrified by my sister's sudden outburst, turned pale and started trembling. Feeling sorry for him and not wanting to disturb the neighbors, I invited them inside. "What the hell is wrong with you? You're scaring Ted." "Shut up. You ratted us out, didn't you? Thanks to you, we're in big trouble now." As soon as we got inside, she continued yelling at me right after I closed the door. Seeing her like that and hearing what she said, I suddenly realized what was going on. "What are you talking about?" "I just had a casual chat with our aunt." "What?" Ignoring her anger, I began to remember on what had happened the other day. The day my nephew was forcibly taken back by my sister and her husband, I called my aunt. My aunt works for a private investigative agency, conducting background checks is part of her job. That day, I asked her to investigate my sister, her husband, and my mom. I wanted to gather evidence to bring back to the police, who wouldn't act without proof, that my sister and her husband were abusing Ted. However, during the investigation, something shocking came to light. It turned out that my sister and her husband had never filed their marriage certificate and aren't legally married. My sister is exploiting her status as a single mother to illegally collect benefits. It also came out that, in the past, she had worked at a friend's shop while receiving unemployment benefits and didn't report her earnings. My aunt gathered solid evidence that my sister and her husband were living together and that she was fraudulently receiving unemployment benefits. I took all the evidence and reported it to the authorities. Judging by the way my sister and her husband came in yelling, it seems the authorities have taken action. My brother-in-law is shouting, "It's your fault, we have to pay back the money," so they're probably being asked to return the benefits they fraudulently received. Honestly, I don't feel sorry for them, it is their fault and I just looked at them coldly. "You're the ones who committed fraud. Of course, you have to pay it back." What I said was perfectly reasonable, but my sister and her husband just kept screaming. Their reasoning is utterly and disgustingly selfish. This is ridiculous. What we got is ours, and we're not giving it back. Exactly. And those unemployment benefits were years ago. Why bring it up now? I was so shocked by their entitlement claims that I was left speechless. Watching them continue to scream selfishly and berate me, I decided to call the police before the neighbors complain. The police arrived quickly and tried to calm down my sister and her husband. But when the police tried to touch my brother-in-law's arm, he resisted and shoved the officer, completely changing the atmosphere. The police arrested both of them for disturbing the peace and obstruction of justice, and despite their fierce resistance, my sister, her husband, and my mom were taken to the station. Even though they were taken in, I worried that they might come back to my house once they set bail. To be safe, I took my nephew and the dog to a pet-friendly hotel. "Let's stay here for a while, just the three of us, Ted, Spot, and me." When I said that with a smile, my nephew raised his arms in joy.
Yay!
"Spot, it's been a while. Let's play a lot." Seeing him play so happily with the dog, I knew I'd made the right decision. Just as I expected, my sister and her husband were released from the police station that night and went back to my house. But just then, one of my neighbors reported them to the police for persistently ringing my doorbell and found it suspicious, so the responding police officers went to my home address. Startled by the police siren, my sister and her husband quickly fled. Later, I heard that my sister and her husband had to sell their house to repay the benefits she had fraudulently received. After hearing that, I decided to settle things once and for all, so I left Ted with my aunt and went to meet with my sister and mom. As soon as we met at a common family restaurant, they started rambling about their situation. It turned out that my sister, her husband, and my mom had been living day to day on his earnings and her fraudulently obtained benefits, with almost no savings. So, to repay the benefits, they had no choice but to sell the house, and now they're barely getting by living in our old family home. Apparently, my brother-in-law is the mastermind behind the fraud, and he's also under investigation at the police station for other suspicions. With everything that happened, my sister finally got fed up with him and said, "I'm done with him, I'm getting a divorce," looking exhausted. Honestly, Mary, why didn't you stop me when I said I wanted to marry him? If you had warned properly, maybe I wouldn't have gotten in trouble. I felt so tired about this cycle. Susan is now glaring and blaming me. I actually warned her that I don't trust him when we first met. She chose to ignore my advice like always and married him still, and now, it's all my fault? Cutting off her endless complaints about her husband, I brought up Ted. Why did she always leave him behind when she goes out? If she goes out, why couldn't our mom watch over Ted? Their answers were even more pathetic than I expected. Because I just don't like him. Ted reminds me of you. He's too smart. I don't like him at all. So, for such trivial reasons, they pushed Ted onto me or shoved him into a doghouse. The sheer absurdity of it all left me helpless and speechless. But my sister and mom, completely ignoring my feelings, came up with another outrageous idea. They said that since they had lost their money and home after repaying the benefits, they had no choice but to move into our old family home. However, since it was old and they don't want to live there, they demanded that they should move into my place. Apparently, my mom had been practically living with my sister and her husband, so the family home had been completely neglected. Your place is too big for just one person anyway, so it's fine, right? Ted's already attached to you, so if we all live together, everything will work out perfectly. So, it's okay, right? Ignoring my feelings and circumstances entirely, they kept talking and pushing their selfish demands like I have no choice but to follow them, so I sighed deeply and told them a fact. Sorry, but I'm moving out today. That house is a rental, so I can't just let you have it. I had actually planned to move to another town to avoid having to deal with both Susan and my mom anymore. As expected, they were shocked and started yelling at me again. After hearing everything I said, "What? I didn't know about this. Why are you moving, and where are you moving to?" They started prying for details about my move. But I didn't answer them. Instead, I asked one thing in return. I'm going to take Ted and raise him myself, okay? You don't need to pretend to care for him just to get benefits anymore, right? He's lost his value, after all. When I said that with a hint of sarcasm, my sister and mom turned red and started trembling. Then, with tears in their eyes, they desperately pleaded with me. Then take us with you. We'll do anything, housework, whatever you need. Take you with me? Why would I do that? I said I'm taking Ted with me, not both of you. You understood what I said, right? As they clung to me with desperate expressions, I looked at them with disdain. No. I will never live with both of you again. Please, stay out of my life from now on. When I said that and firmly cut them off, my sister and mom were stunned into silence. They froze for a moment, but then my sister snapped out of it and started to lash out violently. Don't mess with me, Mary. How dare you? Shut up and take us to your new place. Shouting, my sister jumped up and grabbed a menu off the table, trying to hit me with it. In the process, she knocked over a glass of water, sending it crashing to the floor, shattering. Despite the commotion in the restaurant, my sister kept making a scene until a staff member called the police, who came and restrained her. Since this is the second time the same police officers are involved in such a short period, the officers were furious, saying, "You again? This needs to stop." Even my sister fell silent and stopped resisting when the police yelled at her. I stood up, giving my now quiet sister a quick glance. We'll discuss Ted's child support and other details through a lawyer at a later date. With that, I left them behind. Later, I heard from my well-informed aunt that my sister and mom had started working to make ends meet. However, their fraudulent benefits and the incident at the restaurant had become viral, and they were now the talk of the town. Unfortunately, they're also struggling at work, where they're not well liked by customers due to their poor work attitudes, and it looks like they will need a new job soon. They're still living in the old family home, which has become so run down that it's leaking and in desperate need of repairs. But since they spend whatever money they make as soon as they get it, they haven't been able to fix anything, and now that winter has come, they're gonna have a colder winter than they used to. Meanwhile, Ted, Spot and I have started our new life in our new home. Since moving in with me, Ted has been laughing a lot more, playing happily and energetically with Spot every day. My aunt often visits our new home, and Ted has grown very fond of her, calling her Nana. My aunt has completely fallen for my adorable nephew, and she absolutely dotes on him now. Watching them laugh together fills me with happiness. My aunt plans to move in with us once she retires from work. I'm already looking forward to the fun and happy life we'll have together in the future.